All right, well, happy Monday. Welcome back to welcome back to the Game News Show. First show of 2026. It's going to be a good one. We're starting off with some kind of sad news, but we're also going to talk a good bit about Pokemon and Nvidia today. I think it's going to be a good time. Let's just jump in with some of our sadder news. And it's not a good way to start off the year, but let's talk about it anyway. Xbox veteran Albert Pinello has passed away. I'm not going to really jump into the article. We don't want, I feel weird like commenting on people dying, and I haven't done it a whole lot. Well, there's some big names in the gaming space that passed away recently, and I felt it would be remiss not to talk about it. Albert Pinello was pivotal in the Xbox branding from early on. Been involved with Xbox since the year 2000. So, big voice for Xbox, for Microsoft back in the day. I enjoyed his appearances on the Xbox podcast, on different blogs and stuff. Like, dude was always around, all around good guy in the gaming space. Was always about gaming, and so, thoughts and prayers with his wife and daughter and family. Dude had cancer, and cancer sucks. So, just definitely praying for the family. It's just unfortunate, but it is part of life. And I just wanted to mention here because, again, big name in gaming, that gone too soon, right? Gone too soon. The next one, not as good either. Let's see what's going on here. Are we not going to the next tab now? Is that what it is? Sega co-founder and arcade founding father David Rosen passes at 95. Dude lived a full life, we're not gonna. I don't really want to go into too much detail here either, but I would like to say, thanks for founding Sega, because without it, we wouldn't have some of my favorite games of all time. Some of my favorite hardware of all time. But dude died on Christmas Day, apparently. Like, that's rough. But again, 95. I mean, dude lived a full life. Founded one of the most legendary gaming companies around, and it's still kicking, though not as good as it used to be, but it is what it is. All right. Let's move on. Maybe? I think my Stream Deck pedal is not working anymore. All right, we'll just have to do it the old manual way. All right. In big news, big concerning news, PlayStation news, PlayStation 5 ROM keys have leaked, raising jailbreak concerns. So this is a big deal. If you guys are into the jailbreak scene at all, once these keys get out, it's kind of like the genie's out of the bottle. This is the first steps into hardware and software mods for the PlayStation 5. But recent claims have surfaced on social media suggesting that PlayStation 5's ROM keys have been obtained and leaked online. If the claims are accurate, it means that jailbreakers will now have a cakewalk of a time busting into the console's operating systems. This has been reported as an unpatchable issue that brings users one step closer to securing jailbroken PS5 consoles. Later posts in social space suggested that a new exploit surfaced tied to Star Wars Racer Revenge. The limited edition disc for the game is reportedly the trigger for the leak, but the technology behind it all is pretty complex. On January 2nd, claims started surfacing online suggesting dire implications for Sony. It was said the PS5 ROM keys had been leaked online, presenting a major and irreversible security concern for the brand, as explained in an article penned by the cybersec guru. In final hours 2025, reports began flooding the internet that PlayStation 5 ROM keys, the deepest, most protected layer of the console's security architecture, have been leaked. This is not a kernel exploit that can be patched with a firmware update. This is a hardware root of trust, and it is out in the wild. The leak has allegedly uncovered the boot ROM code for the PS5, specifically the disc-based version of the console. As the cybersec guru explained, if you have the keys to the boot ROM, you effectively own the hardware. And this is where I'm for this kind of thing. Not that I'm for piracy, but let me do what I want with my hardware. This is kind of crazy to think that, The PS5, the lifespan compared to other consoles hasn't been out that long, and um now it's being, this is broken thanks to Star Wars Racer Revenge, apparently. And I think this is great because it allows people to get kernel level access to the hardware, learn how it works, understand, maybe write an emulator for it, maybe running PC games on PS5 is closer to a reality, on native. Maybe we can install Unix on it like we could on the PS3. Those kinds of things are opened up because of stuff like this. And so the possibilities are really all out there. Maybe the PS5 is a really good emulator machine, I don't see why it wouldn't be. So I'm not going to jump into the rest of the article. I just think this is cool. I can't wait to see what comes out of it. Obviously, the piracy concerns are real. There's going to be a lot of people that, we're going to figure out how to run burned, Blu-rays, copies of games. We're going to figure out how to download and crack games to just run. And that's unfortunately the downside of it. However, I want to own my hardware. And so I'm more on the side of the modders here. I wouldn't know what to do or how to do it, but if there's a guide, we can follow it. Now, if this does lead to something, I would say protect your PSN account at all costs, because if you get a modded PS5 and log in, I have a feeling they're going to know, and they're going to kick you off the PlayStation Network. You're going to lose all your games and stuff. So maybe don't get excited just yet. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it plays out. But it's exciting to know. Shadow Advance, good to see you. All right. PlayStation 5 jailbreak rumors have caused the Star Wars game to increase 1,000% in price. So, a new PlayStation 5 rumor suggesting the console can be jailbroken has caused the Star Wars game, the game that we just talked about earlier, Star Wars Racer Revenge, is now listed on eBay. It was selling around $50. Now it's selling for $500. This is that 3DS game that allowed you to jailbreak the 3DS all over again. It became very pivotal and very important for jailbreaking the 3DS, and the physical version disappeared from store shelves. It sold everywhere. It wasn't even a good game, just sold everywhere. This is a modern equivalent of that. So I think that's pretty cool. To see just the response, like people are wanting this game, but not because it's a good game, but because it's a tool to gain unintended access to the rest of the console. I think that's awesome. I love it. I don't love the price increase. I mean, seeing this game go up to $500 instead of $50, that's unfortunate. But that's the economy we live in. Supply and demand. And yes, Denali, I do agree. That's why it's not a problem that these boot ROM keys have been leaked. That's perfectly okay with me. I want to own my hardware. All right, I just thought this was funny, and we talk about AI a lot here and how it impacts gaming, and we cover AI stories often. Microsoft CEO wants people to stop calling AI slop. Without going into the article, my response to that is no. I refuse, because a lot of AI stuff is purely slop. And if it's partly generated with AI and human hands have gone into the work, then that is different. That's using AI as a tool. If we're just passing off purely AI generated work and going, look what I made. No, that's not you that made that. That's like ordering a Big Mac from McDonald's, changing the wrapper and going, look what I made. No, you didn't make it. You certainly paid for it. You used the tools to acquire it. You didn't make it. So I will call that kind of stuff slop forever and ever, and never not call it slop, because it is. It is all it is. And so, yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. He's got, Satya Nadella has this whole blog about AI and how it's going to impact the future and where it's going. And in the blog, he's like, we got to quit calling things, certain names, and we got to quit referring to AI created works as slop. No, sorry, it's slop. If you're generating stuff purely with AI, and passing that to your consumers, no, it's not. That's not okay. That's where I'll leave it. Leave that AI is a tool. Use it as a tool. That's been my stance since we started talking about this whole thing. Let's move on. All right, Metroid Prime 4 devs say rebooting the game again was out of the question, despite changing tastes. I thought this was interesting, given the criticisms Metroid Prime 4 has received, even though it's pretty well reviewed. The biggest complaints seem to be some of the designs. The game feels a little dated, even though it's a new game. And you have to consider, this game was announced in 2017, right? Like, we got it before the Switch came out. When the Switch was revealed, we got a Metroid Prime 4 logo, and we've been waiting since then. So, Nintendo has said that rebooting Metroid Prime 4 development for a second time was considered out of the question, despite committing to an open-world hub formula that faced changed player trends by the time it was completed. And the article goes on, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond was released for Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 last month. After nearly a decade of development and a change of developer, the game received generally favorable reviews, but attracted some criticism for its support characters and Desert Hub world, which some perceived as dated. In a new interview with Famitsu, translated by Nintendo Everything, shout out to Nintendo Everything, Metroid Prime 4's development team has discussed its lengthy production for the first time. According to the uncredited interviewee, Beyond's formula came from an initial desire to implement open-world features into the series. However, the interview suggests that by the time the game approached completion, the development team may have had some doubts about the direction it had set, but it considered further delays unrealistic given that Prime 4 was announced way back in 2017. So, yeah, the game was already had a rocky start, supposedly. At the start of the project, perhaps due to the influence of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, we saw a lot of comments on the internet saying we want to play an open-world Metroid, the development team told Famitsu. However, Metroid's core element of increasing the amount of explorable areas by unlocking powers is not very compatible with the freedom to go anywhere from the beginning of open worlds. Thus, we thought to design a limited area that could be freely explored and have that be a hub that could connect to other areas. Then we thought that if one could move around on the bike in a satisfying way in that area, it could be a segment that mitigates the tension from exploration and paces the whole game. The team continued, in the end, the game took much longer than expected to finish, and we realized that players' impressions toward open-world games had changed. That being said, development had already been reset once before, when we started again from scratch with Retro Studios. So backtracking development again was out of the question, and we resolved to move forward with our original vision. So, it's just too empty in the open world. I haven't really got that far in the game. I've barely started. I've enjoyed what I've played so far. It feels very Metroid-y. It feels like Metroid Prime. It doesn't feel different. But I would say yes, the trend, the feeling toward open world games has changed. People don't want just big empty open worlds. You gotta have stuff to do. That's my biggest complaint with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You have this awesome open world that you can explore, but there's nothing to find. Like, there's a few Pokemon to catch. And that's cool, but that's like the core of the game, is catching Pokemon. There's no, like, wild NPC story just out in the middle of nowhere. Not even side quests, like, that take you out there. There's nothing to make you go out to some of the areas in Scarlet and Violet that they built out. They put stuff, like, they put scenery there, but I'm not going sightseeing in Scarlet and Violet. I wanted to, catch Pokemon, and I wanted to explore the world, but I wanted something to do, and not just walking simulator all through it. Rocket, thank you so much for the heart me. I appreciate it. All right, where was I? Well, I guess the point was they couldn't start. They weren't going to restart development, which again, they started from scratch when they switched to Retro Studios, which was like three or 4 years after that initial release date. Like, if you think about it, Bandai Namco was heading up development for Metroid Prime 4, and it wasn't going well. And then they had to go and ask Retro to step in, and Retro gladly, thankfully, stepped in, but they started over. And that's a lot. Like, that's a lot to do. That's never an easy task, I should say. But I guess I get, the fact that there was no way they were going to restart development a third time and reworking this open world segment into something else. This really wasn't feasible. They had to get the game out. They spent so much time on it. They spent so much money on it. It's time to move on, you know? So, interesting. I'm liking Metroid Prime. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I'm liking it so far, and I can't wait to play a little more of it. All right, let's move to our next story. All right, this is big. All right, this year for Pokemon is massive. We have a lot to look forward to, talk about. We have some stuff we can speculate on. Pokemon kicks off 30th anniversary celebrations with animated logo reveal. So the official logo for the 30th anniversary, but they shared a little video, which I would like to play in browser. So there you go. That's pretty much it. There's nothing else. Pokemon Day 2/27/26. What day of the week is that? I'm very curious. That's a Friday. All right, Pokemon Day this year being on a Friday. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun with it. I'm looking forward to the new generation teas. Whatever they might do to really like celebrate. I'm hoping that the classic games come to the virtual console Switch Online service to some degree. Like I am hoping that happens. Don't know if it will, but the Game Boy app would get a ton of use, especially if there's Pokemon Home connectivity from Switch Online. What are they calling it now? Nintendo Online? I forgot what they called it. Anyway, if they did that from the Game Boy and GBA apps, and we got first through third gen, I'm like, oh, peak. Pokemon and Nintendo would win for the rest of the year. Just Nintendo memberships would go up. Like it'd be great. I don't know why they haven't done it. I think it'd be awesome. I would play through all of them on stream. I would play each version on stream. That means playing the same game multiple times, but I would do it just to show that I really want this to happen. Especially third gen. I've never played it. But speaking of Pokemon 30th anniversary news, we got McDonald's doing another TCG promo. I'm not going to say much on this. I just hate when these happen because what happens is scalpers go nuts over not even good cards. They just become, scalper cards, and nobody wants them because they end up being too expensive for what they actually are. They're not even good cards. They're just meant to be promo cards for kids, and it's just like, what the heck? Like, stop buying Happy Meals, you 30-year-old man. Your kids are hungry. It's like, what the heck are you doing? So yeah. I don't know. I was that guy in college. When I was a college guy, we would go buy the Happy Meals because they either have Pokemon cards or Pokemon toys, and we were stupid and nostalgia driven. As an adult man with a child, don't go buy Happy Meals to scalp cards. That's pure cringe. I guess if you're buying it for yourself, it's one thing, but if you're just buying a Happy Meal to scalp Pokemon cards, you need to reevaluate your entire life, because this is not where you want to be as an adult, especially a guy. I don't know any ladies that scalp Pokemon cards. You're not high on the list. I'm gonna just say that. But dudes that scalp Pokemon cards are like top of the garbage barrel, right under like a bunch of major crimes. And then on top of the guys that are scalping Pokemon cards are the guys buying Happy Meals to scalp McDonald's Pokemon cards. Because what the heck? And so I just remember the last time McDonald's did a promo, I think it was in Japan, they ended it early because of all the wasted food. People were buying the Happy Meal, tossing the food aside, and scalping the Pokemon cards. So let's hope that doesn't happen. I don't know, it's the United States. This is a U.S. promotion, American McDonald's promotion. Yikes. well, it's just going to be trash. Anyway, let's move on. I've ranted enough. It's the right moment. Final Fantasy IX character designer Toshiyuki Itahana quits Square Enix. He said he decided to leave last year after the Final Fantasy IX 25th anniversary. Here's what I have to say about that. Because they didn't deliver the remake on the 25th anniversary, and Final Fantasy IX remake might never happen. Yikes! You know, like I would have jumped ship too. Hey, that's my baby. We didn't take care of it. Anyway, let's see what he says. In addition to Final Fantasy IX, Itahana was the character designer for the Crystal Chronicles and Chocobo series. In a message to fans, the artist and game designer said he'd made the decision to leave late last year following the 25th anniversary of the game he's best known for. As I began thinking seriously about preparing myself to continue drawing for many years to come, I decided to leave Square Enix at the end of last year. He wrote, "Last year marked a major milestone with the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy IX, a truly significant event, and I was deeply grateful to see so many people celebrating Final Fantasy IX. To everyone who celebrated with us, and to those who visited the exhibitions, shops, and cafes, thank you so very much. The Osaka Collaboration Cafe is still ongoing. With the illustration work and supervision related to the 25th anniversary now complete, I feel a strong sense of accomplishment in having fulfilled the role entrusted to me. At the same time, I felt this was the right moment to draw a line under this chapter and take on new challenges." You know, good for you, man. He goes on to talk some more. I just wish that remake had been released last year. I was really looking forward to it. Paradox, welcome. Nero, thanks for the likes. But I don't know. I was just really hoping Final Fantasy IX would get the remake treatment that had been heavily rumored, and then now it's in like development limbo. You know, it could be coming. It might not be coming out. Square has done a lot of restructuring and reprioritizing, so it could be just in the bin and may never see the light of day. I don't know. This is my favorite Final Fantasy, though. My favorite one, for many reasons, but it's also the first one I played, which I guess is me being biased. But it's okay. It's alright. Let's talk about Final Fantasy some more, though, on the Nintendo Switch. Final Fantasy XIV Online Director reportedly hints at Nintendo release. Is it finally happening? This is over on Nintendo Life. Where's Ginger Prime? Because he's going to want to talk about this news. The Final Fantasy XIV Online Director, Naoki Yoshida, has spoken about bringing the popular MMORPG to Nintendo platforms on multiple occasions. During a New Year chat, he has now been asked once again about the possibility of this title coming to Switch systems and has reportedly told fans to please look forward to it. Yoshida has been talking about bringing Final Fantasy XIV Online to Nintendo platforms for a number of years now. In June 24, he noted at the time how the game could potentially target Nintendo's Switch successor. More recently, in August last year at Gamescom, he mentioned how his team and Nintendo had positive discussions about the possibility of a port. Keep in mind, there has been no official announcement at this stage for Nintendo platforms. So this isn't really an announcement. It's just that it's looking more likely. It's looking like, you know, there's no reason the Switch 2 couldn't run Final Fantasy XIV Online. If the mobile version got ported, which is supposedly even better, that would be interesting. I don't think they should put the current like PC client on the Switch 2, but I think they should push the mobile version and make that the de facto version. But we'll see what happens. I'm not well versed on Final Fantasy XIV or many MMOs, but this is one I started and wanted to play more of, but was overwhelmed by text, menus, and a lot of not knowing what to do. So that's all good. What do I think about Nintendo patent stuff? Nintendo's patent lawyers are crazy, and they've lost a lot of ground. So there hasn't been an update. So I don't know what the current status is, but I do know they had some major setbacks, which is good. All right, let's move on to our big story. Yo, Brent. Nvidia. They're pushing the 5090 prices to $5,000 in 2026, according to a rumor. This was December 31st, last day of the year. Last year. The year, you know, this article is from last year, guys. I know it's old news, But I didn't do a game news, and so we got to talk about this. The ongoing impact of artificial intelligence's growth could be felt even more acutely by PC gamers in 2026. According to a new rumor, it has been claimed that next year, Nvidia will increase the prices of the RTX 5090 GPU to as much as $5,000 for a single unit. This is insane. Absolutely insane. It has been suggested that the price increases will start rolling out from January onwards. Nvidia isn't alone in the pricing boom. In a recent report from a South Korean outlet, it was claimed that sources close to the technology have stressed AMD will also be boosting price tags on its highest tier GPUs. GPU prices are about to get ridiculous. It's easy to see the cost of top tier GPUs soaring through 2026 when you look at how much RAM costs have skyrocketed through 2025. The construction of AI-fed data centers and the technology backbone to support the growing vertical have absolutely shattered the hardware market in the last few months, but we're not out of the woods yet. In a recent claim from Newsys, a South Korean outlet, it was stressed that we're just seeing the beginning of monumental and borderline ridiculous price hikes in the GPU space, which we have noticed. Yes, the price is insane. Let's see. The report explained that... Also, Will, what's up, dude? Good to see you. The report explained that sources have suggested a climb in the RTX 5090 stakes from $1,999 at launch this year to as much as $5,000 later in 2026. AMD's RX 9000 series is apparently set to mimic that ticket growth, but not as steeply. Let's see. It was written, both companies are reportedly planning to continue raising GPU prices every month going forward. Yuck. It's highly likely that the price increases will extend across their entire product lineup, encompassing not only consumer GPUs, but also GPUs for AI data centers and servers. The report then noted a quote from an insider. The average proportion of memory in the overall GPU manufacturing cost has recently exceeded 80%. Yuck. Not surprising, but gross. Unfortunately, this situation is having an impact in all areas of technology. Recent concerns surfaced regarding the development of the PlayStation 6. The cell phone space is getting shaky, and RAM prices reached an all-time high in 2025. It's likely going to get worse before it gets better. Which is great. Just fantastic. Way to start off the year by telling us that this is going to get more expensive. Right? Like, that's what everybody wants to hear. Everything's going up in price. No. Nvidia has a solution to a problem they created, guys. Don't worry. Nvidia is going to re-release the GeForce 3060. This is what we get in 2026. Not new GPUs, just old GPUs. A new claim reveals that Nvidia plans to re-release their GeForce RTX 3060 GPUs to counter the ongoing memory shortage. The GPU market has been suffering from a memory shortage recently, ever since AI has blown up worldwide. We have already heard reports on how it's going to impact Nvidia, with some claiming prices will get ridiculous in 2026. Now, a new claim reveals how Nvidia plans to counter this issue. So, reportedly, re-releasing 3060. The new claim about Nvidia bringing back GeForce 3060 GPUs comes from Hongxing 2020 on X, formerly Twitter, via WCCF Tech. The tweet from today only states that Nvidia is re-releasing the GeForce RTX 3060 along with an expected release window of Q1 2026. No additional details were provided, so we don't know whether they will release one of the variants or both 12 and 8 gig versions when it's expected to arrive. Additionally, no pricing was revealed either. So the 3060 was released back in 2021, was built on Ampere architecture. GPU is also packed with other gaming features such as ray tracing, DLSS, NVIDIA Reflex, and much more. It was a solid step forward. GPU launched at $329 when it was released, and players are hoping it returns at a similar price. I don't think it will be a similar price to its launch price because it's going for a lot. But this is a solution, though. When you consider that most games will run medium high on a 3060, it's not a huge deal because most PC players are playing on older spec machines anyway. and it's a stopgap. It's not a great solution in terms of new and updated features, but maybe, we get some driver creativity that enables some of the newer features on older cards. Could be a solution. That could be what we see here. I personally, I'm good with what I've got, but if I need to buy a new GPU for some reason, we may just not be able to like stream at this quality and the way we're streaming right now for a while. I'll have to fall back on using my MacBook as my stream machine. And if that happens, no big deal. But yeah, I was thinking about doing that anyway. However, I would not be able to play too many games or do a whole lot of things. Because, the lack of GPU means I'm not playing Steam games or any of my PC titles. Huge bummer. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. And anybody looking to buy a new system, from what I understand, a lot of people are looking at going DDR4, going, older GPUs, just browsing the used market, which is also seeing a huge issue with a price increase just because people on Facebook Market and Craigslist and stuff see, oh, the price of RAM went up. Well, I will increase the price of my RAM too. And it's like, okay, but your RAM is used. It's not worth the same. Stop trying to make extra money where you shouldn't. That's absolutely insane. But I don't know. Nvidia solving the problem they created in the most Nvidia way possible. This is 2026, guys. Anything can happen. All right, we got one more topic to talk about, and I thought it was interesting. But it's going into very good hands. CD Projekt is selling their platform, Good Old Games. But don't worry, the co-founder says GOG will uphold its values of freedom, independence, and a genuine sense of ownership. So CD Projekt, makers of The Witcher and Cyberpunk 2077, has sold its PC game store, GOG.com, to its co-founder. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name because some of those letters are unfamiliar to me. Stupid American here. What do you want? GOG is focused on DRM-free digital games, including modern releases and the preservation of classic games, and has operated within Witcher and Cyberpunk owner CD Projekt for over 17 years. On Monday, CD Projekt announced that its co-founder and major shareholder is purchasing 100% of the shares in GOG for $25 million. As part of the deal, CD Projekt and GOG have signed a distribution agreement that includes a plan to release CD Projekt Red's upcoming games on the platform. Michael Nowakowski, see, I can say that one, joint CEO of CD Projekt, said that the sale would allow it to focus on game development while GOG remains in very good hands. And I think it's cool. There's not much else in that article about anything. I think CD Projekt not having to manage GOG anymore might give them more resources to focus on making games. Because we've seen it happen with Valve. Valve is solely focused on Steam and making Steam things that we don't get too many Valve games anymore. Valve doesn't have to make games anymore. So GOG being its kind of own product and being in its own lane completely is pretty smart. And I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. So that does it for the game news. So if you're watching this after the fact, because I'm going to be uploading this one to see how we do this week. If you're watching it after the fact, let me know what you think of any of these articles. Are you getting a new RTX 3060 GPU later this year, if those rumors are true? And also, do you scout Pokemon cards? Because you can just dislike this video and unsubscribe from the channel. I don't want to talk to you. No, I'm kidding. It's just funny, all the Pokemon news this year. I'm looking forward to a lot of it. So yeah, we'll leave it there. And if you're watching after the fact, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know something about the video. If you're